So some recent research says that about 65% of retailers expect tariffs to mess up their business this year. And 50% of them don't have a clue what to tell their customers who come in and want to know why everything they have in their stores costs more than it used to. So we kind of thought tariffs was a good subject to talk about. We were going to talk about interior design and horticulture, but I think we'll stick to tariffs. So we're going to cover a lot of ground, and I think just to know who we've got here, so we can make sure we're talking the right stuff. How many people from the furniture side? Just raise their hand. Okay. And how many people from the gift and home side? And how many people aren't sure what side they're on? Okay, that's most people. Okay, good. Well, that's good. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Ann Moore is recording this, so if you want to revel in our words of wisdom after this, it will be available in a couple of days. So that's the best thing. In case you missed the news this morning or the last 12 minutes, it looks like a new tariff deal has been signed with the EU, or at least is close. The president interrupted his golf game to negotiate that. So that's coming soon. We've got one with Japan. And officials have said that August 1st is a hard deadline for the rest of the tariffs. And so there's some sense of urgency here. So we're going to get into this. Joining me and doing most of the talking and providing all of the answers, Christopher Grubb, who's president and founder of Arch Interior Designs in the LA area, representing interior designers. Doug Cofiell, the CEO of the Ivystone Group, which is the biggest national sales agency in the home, gift, and decor area. And Keith Koenig, who is CEO of City Furniture in Florida, which is a damn good retailer, you know? I don't care what they say.
Thank you, Warren.
So if you're in Florida, go see one of their stores. We'll get started, and Doug, I'm going to start with you. We've just been through the Dallas and Atlanta markets, a lot of conversation, I'm sure. What kind of takeaways did you get out of Dallas and Atlanta? And kind of how are you changing your business model to reflect trying to deal with all this tariff stuff?
Right, so just for a little background, we're a national sales agency. We do both gift and lifestyle home furnishings kind of stuff, two separate sales divisions all over the country. So basically going through two markets already, we highlight the biggest areas that were the most affected by the tariffs. And basically, in essence, that's the pre-book large seasonal vendors. So if you see any of those in this building, those are people who took orders end of last year, early this year to ship in the fall of 25, right? So the pricing was set, materials were published, websites established, all the pricing was done. Then they had to make adjustments. So those adjustments that had to be made were either done in price increases for most people, but for those people who pre-booked, it was done in some kind of surcharge that's applying to the customer when the goods land. And that's the hardest thing to manage. So the adjustment in Dallas and Atlanta was we spent a good amount of time with every customer talking about the implications of what they already bought. So the biggest adjustment was we weren't just showing them new things that they were going to buy for this year, that we were explaining that their prices changed on things they've already purchased.
So you were repricing stuff every hour, like kind of on one of those magic slate things?
We had a little bit of a prices are not guaranteed till they land at the dock kind of situation.
Coming out of Dallas and Atlanta, it seemed like most of those surcharges, and most of them were surcharges as opposed to price increases, in the 5 to 15% range. Is that about right?
That's pretty close. There was a couple strange abbreviations of 4.8.
Yeah.
And the largest one we had was 18.
Is 18.
18, and that's mostly, if you can picture that's from a company that would have 0 goods in their warehouse at the time the tariffs hit. They completely convert over to holiday, and they have no goods. So everything's coming in. It was already priced, and they had to surcharge at that level.
And did you notice any appreciable difference in your gift lines versus your home decor lifestyle lines?
For sure. So the price point heavily affects how much they had to go up. So the people with very strict MSRPs, you can imagine this, if you have a strict $100 retail that's across the web and all the retailers versus $1,000 retail, there's more pressure on that $100 retail price point, right? So it's a tougher adjustment, and they have to be really careful about the velocity of retail when they're repricing, right? So we don't know yet. Everything's hitting now, so we'll see how it affects it.
And did you see some of the lines that you work with and some of the brands you work with, were they doing anything clever to deal with any of this? Clever being a relative term.
Yeah, everybody had different ways of doing it. In general, what we saw a lot of was we have these high-quality goods that you've purchased previously available now, no tariff surcharges, no change in pricing, and then a cutoff date. So everybody would have a cutoff date, and that was like their mechanism to create those orders and push product out in the first half of the year.
Okay.
That was the biggest adjustment people made.
Okay. Keith, on the furniture side, how's it kind of impacting your buying, what you're buying, and then let's talk about what your customers are buying.
For furniture, I look at this as almost a little bit of an opportunity, which might sound crazy, but in 1994, we opened our first City Furniture store. And if I could take you back 30 years ago, an inexpensive sofa was $3.99, $4.99, or $5.99, or $6.99 in 1994. Fast forward to prior to the Liberation Day. Prior to that, our most affordable sofas were $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. Now, our showrooms are now very big, 120 to 160,000 square feet. So we have a huge assortment of Bernhardt, and we have everything in between. So we've got a lot of furniture. But what other category has there had almost no change in price over 30 years? And that's been the globalization of the home furnishings industry. I'll bet the same thing happens in home and in gifting, too. So Vietnam is now 20%. But if I have to pay a 20% duty and my competitors all have to pay a 20% duty, then that inflation, are people going to buy less furniture? I don't really think so. They might change something, but I don't think they're going to. So I see this as some of it an opportunity in the sense that we haven't had any inflation while all of our other costs have gone up. It costs twice as much to build a store that it did 5-6 years ago. Electricity, staff, everything else has gone up dramatically over 30 years, but our retail prices have not reflected that. So I'm not so sure that this is not going to be. We all are human, so we react negatively to change. We don't want any change. We don't want anything to change. We just assume it doesn't. But sometimes there might be a silver lining to the cloud. But to more answer your question, prior to this, about 25% of our product came from China. And we are moving most of that out of China. Not completely, because I think China is going to end up between 40 and 50%, where it's 20% now. I don't see it being less than 20%, less than 20% more than Vietnam. Okay. Because people would move from Vietnam maybe back to China. Because China is your suppliers know, China is very, very, very good at doing a lot of things. Yeah. They really are. Like them or not, they're very, very good. So we have moved from that. And
did you move it to Vietnam or Indonesia, Philippines, where else?
Yes, all the above, but mostly Vietnam. Okay. Over the years. And we've been moving that for the last number of years. But we had a great patio supplier that's kind of gone downhill a little bit over the last couple of years, and so we're using it as an opportunity to refresh the line and source, instead of from China, from Vietnam. So that kind of thing.
But if there's products like metal and glass, they're hard to get from other places besides China, right?
There are, but so let's be real clear. The people that are running the factories in Vietnam,
They were all out of China.
they're all Chinese. They're all the Chinese manufacturers that just moved and set up another factory in Vietnam. They're smart, industrial women and men, many women, and they are as much a capitalist as anybody in the United States. So they will go to serve their customers wherever they have to go. And some are now going into Cambodia,
Okay.
and other countries, but Vietnam is still pretty powerful. So it's going to mix heavily there.
And a lot of the people that set up those factories in China, they were out of Taiwan before that.
They were
right?
Taiwanese.
Yeah, yeah.
And they moved over to China, and now they're moving to Vietnam. But there is some. I love finding factories that are gems. We've got a little factory that's making tables for us, and they make for a Pottery Barn. And it's just a young Vietnamese couple, Kim and I forget her husband's name. And they're just wonderful people. If you go there, she'll make you the nicest lunch you ever had.
Are we all invited? I mean,
Yes, you're
okay,
all
good.
invited.
Just mention Keith's name. And just to be clear, you're a retailer, but you bring in a lot of product on your direct, right?
Yeah, we direct import most of our. We're on the tip of tip of Florida, so where a lot of my friends in the furniture industry buy from warehouses around the country that are imported from overseas, shipping down to Florida, it's almost actually cheaper for us to buy direct import. So we've always been heavily direct import, and we got a lot of direct-to-factory relationships because I started going over there over 30 years ago, and now I got a lot of friends over there, and we got a whole team. And,
Okay.
yeah, it's good.
Did you bring in more product before the tariff hit the fan? Were you carrying more inventory than you normally would have?
Not really. And we try to move it during the weirdness of the tariffs because we, as the old saying says, you can't sell any apples out of an empty apple cart.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
made that up. But we move goods. But it's back to normal now.
And do you have shoppers coming in saying, what do you got that doesn't have a tariff on it? Are they aware of that?
Not too much. There's maybe a little bit more interest in our Made in America product, which we have a lot of Made in American product. In fact, I have a factory and a partner in Mississippi that makes upholstered furniture under our Kevin Charles brand, my late brother's name. But if you were going to look at this sofa, any customer would look at this sofa, how much should that sofa sell for? You can't, you can guess, but there wouldn't be much of a consensus where you would look at a washer or dryer and say, well, maybe that's $500 or $1,000 or something like that. That could be $3,000 or it could be $1,299. I don't know. So the customer really doesn't know. They compare to what's on the floor, and they'll compare us to other. I think probably like your business. They'll compare to other options that they have available, and they'll pick what they like best. But they're not so. They're aware of tariffs and that things might be going up. We use a little bit of, hey, buy now before the prices go up even more, but not a lot.
And would you expect that to increase in the back half of the year?
No.
Okay.
I think things will settle down. He went to 150% out of China, and he went to 46% out of Vietnam. Now Vietnam's 20%. He's negotiating deals, and we can like it or not. You might love him or you might hate him. But what he has said is a lot of the factories will end up paying some or all of the tariffs. He's right.
Okay.
We've been able to negotiate with factories with great success. Love them or hate them, that's been what we have in fact found.
So you haven't they're absorbing the entire cost?
Not many are absorbing the entire cost, but it's not. We have been able to negotiate in some cases, but generally speaking, close to half.
Okay. We won't do a love 'em, hate 'em poll here, so don't worry.
Not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. So Christopher, you've got a very different perspective and you've got a very different customer base. Are your clients aware of what's going on and are they requesting different products as a result?
Did you say you have a sofa for $399?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
the pillows we sell.
And they're better. It's better than what we sold 30 years ago.
Is that
Honest
right?
to God,
Yeah?
it's better
Yeah.
than what we sold 30 years ago.
Yeah, our pillows start at 300 at that price. So I think what's happening with us, if we've already started the project and we have a budget going, that's where, it's just like the manufacturer, I don't know what the price is going to be tomorrow. I don't know what it is today. That point, so most people are aware it's going on. It's been a roulette wheel. I mean, the poor manufacturers are trying to price what they have, and we did this Taj Mahal in a bathroom, went up 40% the next day. Hardwood flooring went up 15% the next day. So that part of it's really been a challenge. On furniture, what we're trying to do, and on case goods and upholstery pieces, I'm very lucky in LA, we have the most furniture manufacturers in the country. So I don't get shopped. I have different quality of people. Our luxury pieces, I can take you and you get to sit in your new dining room chair. So there is a piece of luxury that is part of the price point. But we really, at the beginning of the project now, we've just been practicing this. I mean, it's still, we're in the same boat of talking about, look, these prices are adjusting. We want to massage these prices in because as interior designers, sometimes they think like, oh God, he's going to charge us and he's going to overcharge us. And so we will look at emphasizing at the beginning, we're going to look at different price points. And then a lot of times I try to relate something back to something they will buy in their life. I'll give you an example, a fabric that's $140 a yard. A Hugo Boss shirt is $140. And so I'm able to say, you're going to have that sofa and those shirts are gone. So I've been trying to maneuver that. They know what's going on. They don't necessarily, if they have the project going now, because the timing yet hasn't really hit.
Okay.
I've raised my rates because the tariffs have affected me. So now the client's paying more. So because I'm paying more for stuff. The factory that's selling me office supplies and all of that, they're not absorbing it. I can't, so those pieces are happening. But most people, I say, look, it's going on all over the place. Of course, nobody ever sees the budget and goes, is that all it's going to cost? But I think trying to be conscious of price points and really do a mix so they feel that you're just being able to tell them like, okay, look, the tariffs are affecting this. Here's where we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one piece, but I think most people know what's going on. They don't necessarily know the reality yet of their day-to-day type thing. And so on a project, a lot of them are pretty locked in right now. They're starting, or there's the caveat of, when it's landed, it'll be the price it's going to be. People that want to do the project are going to want to do the project. Now, as I'm moving forward, things that are going to be more budget conscious, I am going to be, and I emphasize that to a luxury client. I just say, look, I'm going to shop these price points because my only problem with that is now the quality's going down. And to have to start talking about the quality and that, to stretch this budget, this is what we're doing on this. And they either like it or they're like, yeah, it's too cheap. And so that's been another approach, and I know it's going to become more of that, where we're talking about something that may not last as long, but to say, okay, this is bringing the entire budget down because what are the tariffs doing to all the pieces of it?
So that $140 fabric, Keith, you're not using that on your $499 frames.
Probably not.
And if it's from Belgium, what's it going to cost tomorrow?
Or this afternoon.
It's so that's the piece around it too. And I won't absorb the cost though. My client knows it's in my contract. If it fluctuates, it's changing. We changed our contract during the pandemic. If you don't make a decision in 48 hours, we charge you to shop. Mm-hmm. Because it was a game show. You want this, this, or this, and you have to pick it now. because I was losing money.
How'd that go over?
It's fine.
Yeah? You still have that policy in place?
Not because of not pandemic-ish
Okay.
policy, but parts of right now feel that, like, what are we going to be able to get? What's happening? Last high point, it was like, is there going to be stuff on the shelf, and what's available,
Yeah.
and how much is it going to be? And so that mystery of, owning a business, of what's it going to end up being, and how do we absorb the cost and maneuver it, that's just been so much of it, the unknown. It's just the unknown. Is it 140? Is it 40?
Yeah, the CEO of a big national retailer called tariffs the new pandemic.
Well, and
So-
I kept saying pandemic instead of, but when Walmart comes out and says, we're not absorbing all of this.
Yeah.
The world's biggest retailer saying,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that when Bezos started putting the increase in the tariff costs that got shot down pretty fast, that's the reality.
Yeah.
It's like we get a gas surcharge for deliveries in California, and so there's a surcharge for that. And so it's the cost that it's cutting into their profit.
So Doug, when Walmart and Amazon said we're putting price increases on, did that sort of serve as a cover for everybody else to do some of that?
It definitely was we'd just say a wake-up call to everybody to just say this is really going to hit, right? Because what happens is Walmart's already battled down the supplier to a level where they can't absorb anymore overseas. So, they're in that situation. They have to go up in price. I think that allowed some people who had not made their commitments to ship yet. So if we go back in time a little bit, if you recall, when the tariffs were 145, that just happened to hit right when a lot of people had to ship hundreds and hundreds of containers.
Coincidence, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that was rather dangerous right there. And when they went up in price, some people then took the risk and said, we're going to go ahead and finish production and get this stuff ready to go overseas, because they knew they could go up at least to some degree.
And Keith, Walmart's not a huge player in furniture, although probably bigger than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
But did that kind of serve as cover for you to take price increases?
I don't know that Walmart or anybody in particular, but I think it was so clear and so pervasive in terms of conversation on the news that tariffs, that the president's imposing these high tariffs. I think that, and there was enough conversation that says prices are going to go up, that there was an awareness of that.
So kind of woke people up a little bit, okay.
Yeah, but furniture is so infrequently shopped.
Yeah.
It's really hard for anybody to know. Is $3.99 a good pillow or a bad pillow? Or
Oh, it's good.
it's a good pillow. I bet it's very good.
It's good.
And yes, at Citi, it's 10 pillows, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think most people they face the reality. They're not going to not buy what they need.
Yeah.
They might change some of their decision making and some of their choices, but it's just
That's kind of, if somebody comes in and look at a vignette in the store, they may say, well, can we go get that table over there? It's less money. And that's kind of how I'm presenting, like, there's this piece over here that can stretch the budget, so to speak.
Yeah, none of us can operate without understanding our customer and their value and our value proposition, their value acceptance and our value proposition. You can't show them a $4,000 pillow when $3.99 is the right pillow, and I can't overcharge. But there is an understanding now that prices have gone up.
Okay. So Christopher, when you shop for projects here, is all of this impacting what you're looking for? Do you look for suppliers that have pre-tariff goods? Do you look for stuff that isn't impacted by tariffs, or is your client want what they want?
Wants what they want. But what's interesting is there's buyers. I was just having a conversation. I think it's Rooms to Go that's not going to buy anything from China anymore. Is that right?
I was with a major supplier today, says he's moved everything out of China.
The
Everything.
buyer.
Everything.
Well, this is the CEO of a major company, and said they're not buying anything out of China anymore.
Is that realistic?
Yeah. But you got to source well, and and you give up a couple things along the way, but it's possible.
Lighting's the tough one.
Pardon me?
Lighting's the tough one. China makes the
Lighting's
best
very
lighting.
hard.
Very
China
tough,
makes
right?
the best lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lighting
Yeah.
is, they make such beautiful stuff,
Yeah.
and generally at very, very competitive prices.
Yeah, a lot of times, for me, it is what is the product.
Okay.
And so when I'm shopping here, it is what is the product? And does it work for the look and the design we're doing?
Okay.
Now, could that conversation start coming up more as prices are changing, or if somebody has I don't know the word to use, a feeling of, America and making it here, could it change even more and the question comes up more? Yeah, definitely could.
Well, do you think the Made in the USA thing resonates with customers, with consumers, with shoppers?
I do think so. I do think that there's a consciousness that you're giving somebody a job, that it's local. It feels local because what's happened with that, excuse me, it made it special.
Yeah.
Stuff made, I look at my mother passed away, I look at stuff they had and it was all made in America. And Oprah did that show my mother always talked about. They said, take everything out not made in America. There was 4 things left in the room.
Not many, huh? Yeah.
It was exceptional that way. So I do think, because I have some partnerships that, yes, it's made here. And I at High Point, I was asking our designers asking more about that. There is curiosity. It's not a commitment, it's a curiosity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like to have in the back of their head, if they get pushed more, they're learning new resources that they can talk about.
Okay. Well, and we were going to have another panelist, the CEO of Hubbard and Forge, which makes virtually all of their lighting products here, and unfortunately she couldn't join us, but they've made a big push on their Made in the USA stuff. So do you see more companies advertising that at market? We saw it, Doug, in Atlanta, in Dallas, right?
Yeah, you see it. The big thing, depending on the price point, is that it's great to have Made in the USA goods unless they get sticker shock.
Yeah.
If they get sticker shock, it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah.
They're not going to buy it. So it's all relative. But they'll definitely push it if they've managed to figure out an element of their supply chain and brought it back to the States. They'll put the USA flag on it. They'll have that push, and it makes sense, right? The supply chains, everything's quicker. Your turn ratio can go up. All those kinds of things if you can supply it here. Just I don't know that we have. I mean, I know we don't. We don't have the workforce to do it in mass.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out. I mean,
Or it depends the product.
Correct.
Well, no, an example is I had done a bathroom project. It was on the HGTV website, and I kept getting asked about this vanity, where to buy it. Custom. It was a $12,000 vanity.
$12,000 vanity.
$12,000. So I had my first collaboration was with a company that imported from China. Like I flew over and it was $2,100 for a 6-foot vanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of it too is we're such a is consumption's correct? Yeah, our economy, I don't know how much of it's about consuming. So it is price point and it is related back to that. I'm more impressed with the companies, I'm forgetting the outdoor furniture company's name. They're on the ground floor at IHFC. When you come in the back door, it's made in America. I was really impressed by the price point. So that's part of what's interesting is to see, like Wesley Allen's out of LA.
Yeah.
Their price point, you're like, how?
Yeah.
And to sustain that, and it's a family business. And a lot of these companies, when it's a family business, they really are nice. They worry about their customer and they're trying to do that. And they're trying to keep the price point the same and fulfill these orders. So that's a company that is like that, but it's impressive when it's made in the States and it hits a price point.
Sure.
Is it as inexpensive as an import? No, but it's not like, oh my God, that's a lot more to have it made here.
Well, and Doug, there's categories like Christmas ornaments that just, it's China or nothing, right?
Right. The other thing, right? The other thing is it never moved out of the States, right? So
Yeah.
that product went from Europe to China. It didn't go from the States out.
Right.
So everybody's like, make it in USA. I'm like, we never did. So not sure how we're going to figure that out. But you have like, there's some of the categories, there's like trees and lights. I mean, we don't do a lot of children's or baby or anything like that, but we don't even have the safety down on that stuff. So we can't make strollers. We can't make, like, if you roll through all those categories, I mean, there's a whole segment of stuff we can't make.
Like toys, right?
Right, the toys aren't like our toy. We haven't gone through all the processes they've gone through in China.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say what happens too is there's an anti-tipping thing with furniture.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep the weight down that it doesn't tip over. Okay, that costs more money. It's a heavier piece to ship. And so that also starts to have it made, and the rules of it, having it made here, start sending the price up to the shipping alone.
Keith, do shoppers come in and say, what do you got that's made in America?
They do.
And what do you do in the store to call attention to that?
We don't do a lot. Maybe we should. We don't do a lot because so much is globally sourced. But as I mentioned, we've got a factory in Mississippi. I own a factory with a partner in Mississippi that makes our Kevin Charles brand. And it's really good. I mean, it's not high end, but it's mass. It's what most people in Florida would find as being good family room furniture. Sectionals. But we had to figure out how do we compete? So globally, the furniture companies that import or that do cut and sew kits, if you know that, like Ashley, my friends at Ashley will buy, they'll buy fabric and cut and sew it in Vietnam and ship it into Mississippi or wherever, and they'll put it on upholstered furniture and ship to us. Well, we cut and sew fabric that's made in the U.S. at a company called STI, makes a fabulous, really cleanable product. But what we will do is, instead of special order, which takes for us 3 weeks and for most people even more, we will stock it in 4 colors with all the SKUs, like all the sectional pieces, sofa, love, chair, sleeper, and everything, so that we can do almost a same day or a next day delivery on a special order. So we figured out ways to add value while making it here in the United States. And yeah, if we made it overseas, instead of a $27.99 4-piece sectional, we might be at $19.99 at a better margin.
Okay.
But it's not that far off. We don't show at any markets. We don't have any other, we don't have any marketing costs in there, so there's no overhead.
Right.
But we buy from Vaughan Bassett, which Vaughan Bassett makes bedroom furniture in Virginia, and we have a very good set, but it's on the higher end. It's all solid elm and oak, and it does remarkably well. So we keep some things so that customer that wants made in America, we've got some good choices for them.
Ballpark price differential between a Vaughan Bassett bedroom set versus something comparable out of Asia?
It might be 50% more.
That much, okay.
Yeah, it's every bit of 50% more. And but it's really well made. And there's a lot of people that are happy to, they want to support Made in America.
What is
I think there's going to be more of that too, by the way.
You think so? Okay.
Is it made in America, manufactured in America? There is something legally you cannot say made if one piece comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which one is it made in America?
Yeah.
Has to
Vaughan
be
Bassett
everything.
is, and our products are made in America. I mean, it's U.S. fabric, it's U.S. poured foam, it's U.S. wood, it's U.S. manufacturing, and it's shipped to the customer. But I know what you mean. Like cut and sew fabrics overseas, assembled in America. I don't know if you can say made in America. That might be.
I know you can. I couldn't
say
remember which term.
You can say assembled in America.
Assembled,
yeah.
or
Which I guess is better than
manufactured.
Not, but it's not made in America.
Well, and that's the thing with upholstery, for those who aren't in furniture business, right? So much of the fabrics still come out of Asia, right?
Not all of it, but probably over 90%.
That's
And
a
here's
lot.
a change that's going to happen. I was just over in China, Vietnam, and fabrics made in China that were shipped and cut and sewed in China and then shipped in the U.S. are now going to be made in China, shipped to Vietnam, cut and sew in Vietnam, and then to the United States. And that avoids the Chinese trans-shipping tariff. So you'll only pay the 20% tariff. So that,
And that's legal.
That's going to be legal, and it's going to add cost, but it's not going to be direct from China.
And a lot of it's like cars. I mean, people, like, I have a collaboration with California Faucets. Do you know how many pieces go in a faucet? All these little washers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. I'll make up a number, 100.
Okay,
So
that's a good
I
number.
don't really know, but there's little things they have to get, they can't get in the States.
Can't get it.
You can't get it. And so that's part of the manufactured. They hand finish everything, they hand assemble everything, put it together, but it's not because of those little parts. Or my Strasser vanity line, they get wood from Canada, which is their Washington State, so it's manufactured. So that's also a challenge. I don't think the consumer really cares about the difference.
Probably not.
I think it's just it was more of a technicality of it.
And there's a lot of stuff where a lot of it can be domestic made, but there's one little widget that only comes out of a factory in China, right? And so that kind of corrupts the whole thing. Yep. And I should mention, we got more time, but we'd love questions and comments and rebuttals, so just jump in. Somebody has got a microphone. Just raise your hand, and no need to wait for the end if you want to ask something based on our conversation. But we'll continue. Christopher, you had mentioned that, and you talked about labor also, and it's not directly related to tariffs, but you said you're having a hard time finding people, right, to do projects?
No, I'm having my contractors are having a hard time keeping.
Okay.
So this just hit me last week. I'm on a project, it's a sizable budget in Calabasas. The contractor, half of his tile people have gone back to their home country. Is that the good people? And then what does it do to the other projects? This contractor has other projects, and I'm sitting here going, well, wait a minute. If the good people then start asking for more money, then the labor cost, that's in California especially, the labor is everything. So it's finding it, but also the change that way of the talent. And is it going to hit a point where people are like, there's no ROI in us doing it? And furniture seems cheap.
Yeah.
We want to make a change. But that's one thing that has me nervous about if the cost, because I get asked, am I going to get my money back out of it? And there's also sometimes is the value of your pleasure. Like this bathroom we're doing, technically they'll never get their money back. Yes, they will from what they paid for it, but for other people, it gets dollars and cents. It's going to be like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm more worried about that. I'm more worried about the talent, and then the talent, how much they're going to cost, and what it's doing to budgets. I just raised my fee again, and you always for designers, we always have that moment where you're like, God, am I going to get this?
Can I really get these words out of that number?
But they know what's going on,
and
they've known me. So I'm worried about the labor, because at the end of the day, furniture may end up looking inexpensive if that's a tariff on it.
Keith, do you have trouble getting labor in your upholstery plant down south?
No.
Okay, not an issue.
Nor in Florida do we have any problems getting enough folks to work at City Furniture. We try to run a good ship and treat everybody right, and pay well, and provide all the benefits. And it's a family organization, so people tend to like working in that. We've been around for 50-some years, and hopefully can continue to do that. So we attract good talent. Thank God.
It's not the talent. It's California is the fourth most powerful economy in the world.
Yeah.
What starts happening? That's really the talent is there. It's incredible craftsmanship. So that's why I'm worried. Is the good ones are gone. The detail on
your part of the world is very specific, and that talent is really important.
Yeah.
I just mean, generally speaking, we're kind of mass merchant furniture, broad appeal. We try to hit the middle of the market, so we're able to get plenty of folks.
Okay. So we're kind of in the middle of the back to school season, and Halloween's coming up soon, and those are much more factors in your business, Doug. So are they predictors of what we're going to see for Christmas? What sort of issues are you seeing for back to school with your vendors right now and Halloween?
You could probably put back to school and Halloween the same thing. I mean, people are short, so the goods are not as available. So if you have immediate goods available, there's people going after that because that was right at that interim time when you really couldn't ship. I mean, basically 145 is an embargo, right? So
Yeah.
that was basically right in that time frame. So they're late. So normally all Halloween would be at all the stores already, and it's arriving now-ish. And there's probably, I think we had a couple other retailers we were talking to about this. They thought about 80% of it, of what they'd get.
And the rest is not coming in.
Correct.
That was last High Point, they were like, the shelves are going to be empty. And everybody walked in a store, I'm like, what do you have?
Yeah.
But what does that do to the company's margin?
Hurts it.
They have less stuff to sell on their margin and they're estimating it. So that cycle of are they, when is it, that's kind of what it's like pandemic of people holding back. And then it's like, okay, when is we going to have more? Because people paused shipping. There was containers waiting.
Certainly.
Waiting. And then it's kind of like beige and gray boucle.
Yeah, we sat with people trying to figure out what you could lose per SKU.
What
Like
you
how
could
much-
lose per SKU.
How much can you lose per SKU in order to stay in business for this year to get ready for, I mean, we had all those meetings in April, May.
That's not a good long-term business strategy.
It's usually not. It's, when you're.
That's not
when you-
a
when you-
pleasant conversation.
No,
Right.
no.
Lose per SKU.
Right. So that's the situation they were in. Luckily, before holiday really had to deliver, they were able to go back and keep supplying it once we went down to a more reasonable 30, right? than the 145. And those categories, just some of those major categories you see that retail, it affects all of retail because holiday's the main thing, right? And some of those categories, you just can't make whole sections of that anywhere else with any kind of efficiency. Some moved to India, but it's minor.
Well, we had a similar conversation in Atlanta, and there was a specialty retailer on the panel, and she said she went around her store for Halloween, and she said, well, I've got an orange dish over here and a black candlestick over there, so I got Halloween now, So I think it's creative retailers are going to find a way.
Always.
What's your best guess, Doug, on Christmas? What's the shortfall going to be on Christmas merchandise, holiday merchandise, particularly in seasonal stuff, but just in general?
So it's probably 10 to 15% off on the supply side.
Okay.
So that they're short that amount. We had fairly massive cancellations on custom kind of low margin seasonal into semi-major retailers like that style. They a lot of that was canceled. They went another direction, figured out something else to do. So we would expect holiday people to be a little short. We can tell already at markets that people are coming in saying, we know this one supplier is not going to ship. What do you have coming in? So we have all those conversations a lot. They might be able to find it elsewhere. But
And it
they have
is,
to
what do you
adjust.
have?
What do you have?
It's like, what do you have to sell?
And there's no pre-tariff stuff still sitting around anymore. It's gone, right?
Not from the people that are. If you surveyed a room and said, who are your major suppliers, who do you use all the time, those people don't have anything left, right? The smartest retailers went to them immediately and said, what do you have still in stock? And they bought it all.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a question?
I do.
Okay, I saw your hand,
Please.
I was like,
Thank you.
Oh, wow, there's a mic too, okay. So I'm curious to hear your perspective. Our poor beleaguered Federal Reserve chairman says that he can't lower rates anytime soon because he still doesn't yet understand the inflationary impact of tariffs. And the administration says, no, tariffs aren't inflationary. It's a one-time price increase, and then it goes away. Don't you worry. No one's going to feel it. I wonder what your perception of that is. Do you think that tariffs are inflationary? You were talking about labor costs going higher. That's related. I mean, do you think it meaningfully impacts future prices in a way that is hindering the Fed from just lowering rates more aggressively and affecting your business?
I think, yes, I do, because what is it? GM's going to have a $3 billion write-off or something? People
Yeah.
are not passing the cost. I'm watching these companies working with their supplier that's overseas, that's getting tariffed, and they're trying to find a middle ground, but you can only do it so long. You've got to have a margin. California Faucets, they, at the end of the pandemic, had their first increase. They absorbed the cost the whole time, and boom, here we are with another increase. And so they're trying to wait, do they increase again? And I don't know how many designers, how many dozen emails were we getting? Price increase 10%, 15%, 10%, 15%, right after the conversation started. That's inflation.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
I mean, our space is going to inflate, right? But if you, I mean, not to get too technical for a second, but it's 70% of the U.S. economy's, I mean, the U.S. consumer, 70% of that is really services, that you have the goods part. If our business is inflationary, but other ones are not, the total amount of the total inflation you're going to get is not going to be that big, but it's going to show up in some things. I mean, bottom line, I mean, there's no way that your refrigeration units and stuff like that are not inflated. They are. Whether they keep going up is the question.
because it's been a roulette wheel too. Where is it? It's like EU today, and it's.
Yeah, and the furniture, I expect it to be a one-time hit, and I think you're going to see something in the neighborhood of, on imported goods, which are a lot, I think it's going to end up being someplace between 10 and 15%, which is a lot, but that's not going to be repeated the next year. So I think they're both a little bit right. There is no way it's not going to inflate our costs. There's just no way that it's not going to be zero.
So I'm not crazy then, that it is inflationary. I mean, we can call it, I mean,
It is inflationary this year.
potato,
whether it
but I
will
mean,
be-
you're raising prices.
Whether it will be inflationary next year, I tend to think not. I think you will take that one-time hit. I think because everybody has to pass along cost increase, and then next year, you might even see ways to, for costs to stay the same or come down a little bit, or not necessarily come down, but not go up. Certainly not go up, unless the tariff goes up again at a big number. I think it's a one-time hit.
But Keith, so much of the furniture business is finance. I mean, so many furniture purchases are financed. Those interest rates impeding business?
Interest rates haven't worked their way into consumer finance so much, because really what we do is 6 or 12 or 18 or 24 or some long number of months of interest-free or low-interest financing to make furniture affordable to most customers.
Mm-hmm.
And our main bank is Synchrony Bank, and they have raised their rates to us, but we have kind of absorbed that.
Okay.
And maybe we've shortened up the term of free interest, but it makes it's like people buy cars based on their mortgage, on their interest, on their monthly payment.
On what the monthly payment is, yeah.
And a lot of people shop for furniture and they're looking at it and then they say, oh, I can get that for $100 a month. That's pretty appealing. Most people can afford it.
Could you talk to Macy's? They increased their rates to 34% a couple of months ago, which I thought was just,
It's stupid.
There's a word for that, but I won't use it in the
But
company.
there's some exciting things going on. I know how crazy it sounds from the tariffs, in that these manufacturers, like I have a collaboration, my collaborations are delayed, but with Calco, they're encouraging more creativity. The price is going to be higher, so how do you have something more creative? The creativity there. And they have China and the Philippines is where they make it, and they're about customization. But knowing there's going to be increase, okay, we're going to step up the creativity. Or Howard Elliott, I'm developing with resourcing these other places, so I have different things I get to see. Because the challenge is the stuff I've picked. First of all, as a designer, you're like, God, by the time this hits the market, am I still going to like it? And that's the thing too, with a hold up on product, what do we have new? Like, if things aren't on if the shelves are sitting with the same things. But there are some exciting things going on of chances to have different kind of product, or a company has a different kind of look, because I think there's a creativity, that piece is going on. So that's fun for a designer. And when I'm doing product and interiors, throw something at me, I'll make it into, what do you want, a vase, a lamp? I can do it.
You should be an interior designer.
I should try it. I hear you get paid a lot.
That's what I've heard, yeah. I've heard they're $14,000 something or others, yes. So kind of the elephant in the room, which is, what's the consumer, what kind of mood are they going to be in the back quarter of the year with all this rotten news? I mean, Keith, you get any sense how much of a buying mood are they going to be in?
Since my whole world is furniture,
Yeah.
I'll look at it from that lens. And their mood is less important, believe it or not, than the housing numbers. Our industry is related to housing. By research and my best guess, and working with our customers for many years, about half of our business is related to somebody moving into a new home,
A half, wow.
a new apartment. I talk to my delivery guys, I talk to my salespeople, 10 customers. Out of your 10 customers, how many of them are moving into a new house, buying a new house, buying a new condo, or doing a complete renovation of a house? And it's down, but it used to be 5 to 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Well, if you look at the housing numbers, and I'm not talking about new homes run between 1.2 million and 1,500,000 new homes a year. We're on the low side there because interest rates are high. But resales are the big deal. Resales pre-COVID, 2019 and before, averaged 5.2 to 5.5, 5.6 million new homes, not new homes, resales. You're in a home, you want to move across the street, you're reselling your home to move. That number, as soon as interest rates went up, when we saw inflation in 2022, dropped. Last year it was 3,996,000 homes. The math is around 28% down. I tell my team, I said, until home sales start to recover, this is lowest level since 1992 of home resales. And in 1992, we had roughly 70 million fewer people in the United States.
Wow.
So these are historic low levels of home sales. Now home prices have gone up and they're staying high, but people are sitting on their hands waiting for interest rates to come down. As soon as interest rates come down, and you see the president jawboning Jerome Powell
Yeah.
and saying interest rates got to come down. As soon as mortgage rates drop below 6%, I believe the home furnishings industry is going to be on fire. I think our comps will go from, have been negative for the last few years, and are flattening out now. I think our comp sales will go to high single digits, and I think it'll be boom time for the furniture industry.
And it's going to be fast?
Huh?
It's going to be fast?
Generally, as soon as mortgage rates go down, there's a little bit of lag time between when people buy a home and then they get furniture, but it's going to impact right away.
Our
Okay.
prices will
Christopher?
shoot up. Yeah. You have a different perspective. You have rep groups.
Yep.
What are they hearing? You have a whole different audience, so I'm curious, what's the feedback? Because that's a bigger audience than I have.
Yeah, so the feedback is generally, here's basically what we say, and I think this is the way it is. There's some great demographic information, basically. Like the demographics were going totally in our favor, right? Two younger generations, way bigger, coming of age, doing all the buying, right? Way bigger. It's not even
Yep.
close. Like Gen X, small generation, I'm in it. The next two are way larger. So that's a gigantic plus, right? The housing part's a negative, and the tariff part's a negative. But we would have had a fabulous year. So now you go, okay, where's it going to blend in? I mean, we're guessing it's a very flattish kind of market, but we're just hoping our retailers have enough goods. I mean, if they have enough goods, I think it'll be okay.
So the tariff's affecting you because there's not enough product.
It's that plus that shock to the system, right? When it went up, here's what you don't know, and so we can all picture ourselves with this. If you have a product and it's a brand, and everybody knows what the price is. Okay, use like something popular like a Yeti cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what the price is. They have to make a decision on what that price is going to be before they even bring it in. And their tariff number, their real effective tariff number, it's metal, it's China. There's only like 3 factories, not a lot of choices. It's probably a 40% number. And they got to make a decision when the MSRP is going to change. Our question to all of us is, does that retail if it goes up $15? I mean, if your average price point goes from 40 to 55 on something you buy all the time, opposite of furniture, right? What happens
I think
there?
that will slow down in
Yeah.
unit sales.
It almost
It
has
has
to,
to.
unless we've been wrong for 50 years,
No, I
right?
can't believe that.
Well, and that's the consumer knows that price.
Correct.
Yeah.
They know it.
They
so
don't buy furniture as often, so
Correct, they
they
don't know.
come in
It's
to
a
get a
blind
sofa, it's
item
like,
a lot of
okay,
ways.
that's how much a sofa is.
Yeah.
Correct.
Um,
If you went to buy like use something simple, like I have a person who lives near me that sells the underneath wine fridges underneath the counter, right? And his prices are up 30-something%. He's like, it directly affects whether they put one or two in.
Yeah.
It's like every time.
Yeah.
It's not that nobody's going to buy any. It's just you may not buy two.
You're not going to sell as many.
So it could be worse, you could be in the egg or gasoline business, right? Yes, okay.
Are they
Till-
kosher?
till-
They're not kosher? They're not kosher, so they don't need to.
So we didn't promise you we were going to solve all your problems, but going to ask Doug, what's the best thing folks in the audience should be doing to kind of cope with all of this stuff?
It's probably like a lot of things in life. Like you just concentrate on what you do really well and execute at a very high level, and you'll be fine, right? That's kind of what you learn. Is that there's all these exterior factors and all these different things happen, but if you do your thing better than you were ever doing it before, you'll be fine. So I think retailers will do it if they're doing a great job in the store, they'll be fine.
And you said before, just stop watching the news, right?
I didn't want to repeat myself because I knew that there was cameras on there.
Yeah.
But I stop watching the news anytime it gets bad like this. It just ruins my day, so I stop.
Christopher, what do you think folks should be doing?
I think part of it is just one, be upfront. Because people really don't know if the Yeti cup goes up $15 per se. Because I have a saying that people buy cars, they buy clothes, they don't buy furniture all the time. They don't do a kitchen, they don't know what it cost.
Yeah.
Somebody says to me, I want us to do $40,000 on a kitchen. Your appliance package is $40,000. And so they don't know. And I think that just being real and upfront with the person is part of it. And looking collectively, and as I said, I use a thing where I know how to blame my client for a project going over budget. It's their
Smart,
fault.
very clever.
I know how. And so to just remind them they're picking this thing that's more expensive, and I don't really concentrate on the tariff cost. It's not a conversation. The conversation is things have gone up in price.
Okay.
Because the people know food and gasoline.
Yep.
So things have gone up in price kind of covers a lot of what I've got going on. It really has only been, like I said, the Taj Mahal 6 slabs that went up 40%. That's $5,000 to $7,000. The client felt happy. They saved $7,000. But the next buyer,
Yeah.
if they've budgeted for a project, they just have gone up, and that's per slab. So 6 slabs, that's $12,000.
Are these slabs made of plutonium? Or?
No. Somebody from the Middle East bought almost all of them in Southern California one day. It's the popular stone right now.
Damn,
called
I
Taj
wanted
Mahal?
one. Okay.
Taj Mahal, yeah, it's beige.
Uh-huh. Okay. They're not from
It's
the.
beautiful.
They're not from the Taj Mahal.
No, it's
Okay.
not even made in India. That's
Okay.
what's so funny. It's named Taj Mahal, not even from India.
Keith, what's the best thing folks should be doing right now in
Well,
their businesses?
In our world of, furniture and popular price range, I'm just asking our buyers and our merchandising team to make sure that they are in tune with the market. And so we all have a smartphone in our pocket, and you can pretty much shop anything that you want, consumable.
Mhm.
So we have a merchandising policy not to get beat. So we make sure that we're priced right on every product. And when things are changing, I think it's important for us to pay a little bit more attention to where the market is. And the market's not only online, it's also the brick and mortar retailers that we have to compete with. So I'm asking our team to make sure that where they have to make adjustments, that's fine, but make sure you're priced right in the market.
Okay. Anything we missed, folks? Anything, any other
What's your perspective on what the tariffs will be coming out of China?
That's the whole roulette wheel.
Pick a number and make a guess.
Yeah, what we've been told fairly by a fair number of sources is that it's not going under 30.
Not going
under 30.
I was guessing 40.
I think 40 is a good bet.
What's your guess?
It's 40 or 50. So the transshipping, if you notice that Vietnam got 20% and anything transshipped from China into Vietnam coming into the United States was getting 40. So I don't see why you would give China 50 if they could save 10 by transshipping it.
Because it's Thursday.
Yeah.
It could change. You got one more question from a gentleman.
Yeah, hi. I'm a manufacturer from India, and while we focused on the buyer's aspect of how the tariffs have affected you, I'm sure tremendously, and we've also borne the brunt of it, having not voted for either of the parties in the US in the elections. But what creative methods do you think a vendor can actually help you out with? For example, just while we've negotiated on prices, there's not so much we can do with the product, but is there some creative out from the supplier's end that we can perhaps do so that the business at your end is not affected? Because again, we've been doing business with some of you all for 30, 40, 50 years. We've been partners in that sense, and we're happy to contribute in whatever sense we can to soften the blow of the tariffs at the retailer's end. So perhaps, for an example, say your prices rise by 15%, and you already have a forecast of 1,000 units for the next 3 seasons. So is a solution like, let's do 5% now, let's do 5% in the next season, and let's do 5% in the next season, let's grow it gradually in terms of your price points and MSRPs? So is that something that you can work out with your vendor end to help out at your sales end?
So you're asking, should suppliers kind of absorb some of this and prorate it out?
Partly absorb it, but in a staggered manner, because of course passing on the entire 15 is impossible at a vendor's end as well.
I think pull the Band-Aid one time. Otherwise, it's like they're doing it again. That's my opinion.
Yeah, our sales team do not like many changes. I think most people don't like many changes. I think that's a creative idea, but I think we're the pull the Band-Aid off one time.
Because if you have catalogs with pricing and all the SKUs, and you've got to reprogram
And the other really hard part of that is, if we're selling 100 a month of an item, and we have to know how much to order in the future. So we actually take the price increase sooner so we can get the rate of sale of what it's going to be at the. I mean,
exactly.
You don't want to say, I'm selling 100,000 Yeti cups at $40 and it's going to go to 55 and I'm going to buy 100,000 and find out that you went from 100,000 went from 100,000 down to 70,000. You're sitting on a lot of expensive inventory. So we take the price increase so that we can see what the rate of sale is.
So you're trying to anticipate.
Well, it's like if we own the inventory if we own that for $100 and we're going to have to replace it for $130, and we're going to go from, call it $200 to $300 at retail, I want to know what the rate of sale is. If we're selling 50 a month of that, I want to see what the rate of sale is so that because we're buying generally 5 months.
Right.
I don't want to load up on inventory and an inaccurate
So Doug,
rate of
it's
sale.
not practical?
Yeah, well, you may want to do the time to do the increases is around the time you can redesign to an extent, right? So that's the biggest thing we said to everybody. If you have these consistent SKUs that are moving all the time, you got to make your policy there, take your price increase when you have to take it.
Yeah.
But then the next round, if you can redesign and then that's the accepted price
The new
across
price.
the market, that's what we are recommending to people.
I think it's more powerful. Raise it 15 and 2 years ago. We're doing a 2% less on our pricing now that there's been a balance with the tariffs. You went down in price.
Yeah, there you go.
Lovely.
Okay, well, I think we've, like I said, we've solved all your problems, so glad you came. We'll all be available for private consultations at standard fees. So thanks, everybody, for coming. Have a great rest of the market, and we'll see you all next time.
No, I wanted your perspective. You have.
Gentlemen?